40% podcast. I'm 40% podcast. You know I'm 40% podcast, baby. You know I'm 40% podcast. You know I'm 40% podcast, baby. I'm only 40%. Go. 40% podcast. I'm 40% podcast.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to I'm 40% Podcasts, Season 2, episode, I don't know, something. We are here today with my co-host,
That's
Jinkx
just
Monsoon.
bad hosting.
It's an episode. It doesn't matter. They can look at their feed. They can look at their feed. If they look at the JPEG, it says what it is. It doesn't matter.
Oh, that's just bad producing.
Well, that's my co-host. We talk about Futurama every week. This is the Queer Futurama podcast. Everyone likes it. It's so fun. And today, oh my gosh, Jinkx, are you as excited about this guest as me?
I'm always more excited than you could possibly be at all times.
Okay. Okay, interesting. Anyway,
about everything.
Our guest is not only a competitor on Drag Race UK versus the World, but she is the co-host of Drag Race Thailand. I would say the very best of the Drag Race international seasons. Please, everybody, welcome the amazing Pangina Heels. Welcome, Pangina.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be here. I have not watched Futurama for a couple of years now, and I was watching it to prep for this show, so I remembered why I loved it. Yeah.
Oh, so you're already a fan. That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Did you watch it when you went to college at UCLA?
I certainly did. I loved watching it when I was like smoking some weed. It was great. Yeah.
I don't know what you're talking about.
You not only watch cartoons when you're stoned, but you smoked weed in college. These are both very strange things. But
and
we're learning
she's
a lot.
freaking hot. So basically,
Pangina's very hot.
yes. Well, let's just start the episode by saying Pangina's very attractive, and throughout the episode, we will probably bring it up again.
That's so sweet. I thought you have better standards, you guys.
Pangina is Futurama.
Tiny cup.
Pangina has a very tiny espresso cup
that you're barely sipping. All right. Okay.
Pangina, is Futurama the only sort of adult cartoon you enjoy? Are there other cartoons that make you laugh?
There are, but it's really politically incorrect. And I don't know, like, it's not of this time. But at the time, it was funny. You guys know Drawn Together?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Drawn Together, The Simpsons.
Comedy Central, early 2000s.
Yeah. You know, I would say Drawn Together is like, I probably wouldn't go out of my way to watch it. But is some of it objectively funny? Yes. Some of it is objectively funny. It's very irreverent. It's politically incorrect with the purpose of satire, but it's also kind of like, you know, are we there yet, society? But but it was a pretty goddamn funny show. And Jack Plotnick was the voice of Xander, the gay character based off of Link in The Legend of Zelda. And Jack Plotnick is an amazing actor who's also in Girls Will Be Girls. So you know what? There's reasons to watch it.
I met the director of Girls Will Be Girls recently. Just one of my many LA stories. He's a cool guy. Anyway, Pangina, this is quite a dense episode, so I hope you don't mind. We're going to talk about the news, and then we're going to start talking about the episode. We do have some news. News segment starts now.
Good news, everyone!
Okay, news. Big news. Big news. Bendergate has ended. John DiMaggio is rejoining the cast of Futurama. This all got resolved. I hope people got money for it. What's everyone feel like? Pangina, would you have watched the new Futurama if there wasn't John DiMaggio?
Are you caught up, Pangina? Did you know there's going to be a new season of Futurama?
I didn't know that. Wait, what happened?
We're throwing a lot at you. Okay, let's slow down. There's going to be a new season of Futurama on
Which is great.
Netflix.
Or is it
amazing? Hulu? Is it Netflix?
Hulu.
Hulu. Anyway, but there was only one hitch in the giddy up, and that was that John DiMaggio, who voices Bender and tons of other characters, wasn't going to do it. But then we found out that he was holding out until everyone on the cast got more money. He was like insisting that all the voice actors be paid more. And that's why he wasn't signing his contract. And I'm guessing Netflix caved and
what a legend. Oh my God.
It's Hulu. Hulu caved.
Oh my God. Whatever.
He's a socialist icon.
Libel.
He's a socialist icon. We love John DiMaggio. I do want to have a side conversation. This happened the same week as SJP saying that she's going to recast Samantha in Just Like That season 2.
What?
So do you think that? Yeah. And there's a list of people that she's considering.
Tell
would
me.
you like to
Is
hear
this
them?
real?
Yes.
They're going to recast Samantha?
Well, the article said that we can only do so much groveling and we're not going to do season 2 without Samantha. So we're just going to recast her if she doesn't want to come back. The names are, and I have mixed feelings about some of these names. The names are Chelsea Handler, Kim Basinger, and my personal favorite, Annette Bening. I think Annette could handle it. Thoughts?
I think Annette could handle it. I want to watch the Chelsea Handler one, though.
Me too.
Okay, I'm clearly in the minority here.
No,
in case you don't want to see Chelsea Handler.
I think if I wanted the best performance, I'd go with Annette Bening. But if I wanted to like keep watching the Sex and the City franchise for the reasons I want Chelsea Handler.
Amen. Yeah.
Well, all right. That's all.
Can you just imagine that tired
all the Futurama
woman,
news.
That woman just being so tired, but also talking about dicks. Like she's like, oh, I haven't even been paying attention to this conversation. I've been thinking about dicks or whatever.
That's exactly how she would talk, though. Like Annette would affect the voice, and that's what we need. We need the voice.
Wow. I love talking like Samantha Jones and The Sims together. Fuere. Anyway, okay, so funny. On this Futurama podcast,
we're going into the episode now.
John DiMaggio. Back with Futurama on
done
Netflix,
with the news.
Hulu,
it's Hulu,
Disney Plus. They're all doing it.
Sidelining me.
Okay, sorry. Potato.
We're going into the episode now. Raging Bender. There's no cold open. The Chiron says nominated for 3 Glemmys. I think this is funny. I give it 4 out of 5 Chirons.
I give it a 4.5 out of 5.
There's no
Chirons.
0.5s. There's no decimals in this rating system. It's 1 through 5. Otherwise, we would do a 10-point scale.
What are the rules?
I'm so sorry. She's off the rails today. We go to the Planet Express office. The professor says, "Good news, everyone. I've taught the toaster to love." And the toaster is acting like a puppy. Thoughts?
They sure do turn the toasters get turned into animals a lot. Isn't there a toaster that gets turned into a raccoon and then it pops toast out and then Fry eats it and goes, it's a little gamey.
I think that is a raccoon that's turned into a toaster or fused with a toaster or something. I can't remember.
I can't even remember the context for that right now.
It's the reverse fossilization. They turn the toaster into a raccoon.
It's a what if episode. Okay, anyway.
What if episode.
Back to this episode. I feel like it's funny. I feel like the toaster being a puppy is pretty funny. But also, isn't everything already a robot that like has a consciousness? So
I mean, true. Hermes comes back from his vacation. He stopped off at the brain slug planet. He had a layover, and now he has a brain slug on. It's sort of this is the second time we've seen the brain slugs because we saw them in the politics episode.
Yeah,
the brain.
They have their own party. So, Pangina, imagine someone walks into the room with a brain slug on. What's your first? What's the first thing you're gonna do? What's your mode of action here?
Get a lighter.
Ooh.
Get a lighter. It's like getting those, what is it, like leashes when you go into the jungle. So if you burn it, it probably fall out, right? That's my
Yeah.
first reaction. But then again, the green slug thing looks kind of like Jello. So I wouldn't mind like biting into
Having a
a little
bite?
bit. Yeah, having a bite. Why
I
not?
got a leech on my leg once in Nebraska, and my aunt or cousin or whatever put salt on it, and it let go.
Oh,
What did it
Because they're
feel
just
like?
a slug, right? I didn't feel it. I just got out of this little pond that we probably shouldn't have been swimming in, and they were like, "There's a leech on your leg." It
how big was it?
was very small. I would say it was the size of a penny. Very small.
Okay.
Get off me, you parasitic lamprey!
It's very funny how casually they react to the brain slug. Like their solution is just to ditch him and go to the movies. Like it's going to work itself out on its own.
It sounds like they've had experiences, or the Earth has had experiences with brain slugs before, because as soon as Fry wants to acknowledge it, is Amy says, no, it's Leela. Quiet.
Yeah.
Do you want to get us all assimilated? So they probably have to kind of act like it's not like a big deal, so the brain slug doesn't see anything coming, because the brain slug can pick up on everything Hermes can pick up on. But I love that the brain slugs, for a hive mind thing, it sounds like they're not very good. I mean, first of all, they're extremely visible. Second of all, they don't play the ruse very well, because like he comes in and goes, Hermes enjoyed a vacation.
And his suggestion is they go to the brain slug planet and walk around without helmets.
Around without helmets.
They ditch him. They decide to go to the movies. Some of the movie titles on the front of the marquee are It Came from Planet Earth, Shaft on Africon 9, and When a Man Loves a Smizmar. And then we get into the movies that they're
they
debating.
Bring up Smizmars a lot. I'm just
I want to talk about it. The Smizmar thing folds in on itself in this episode because the announcer at the Robot Fighting League says ladies and gentlemen, and Smizmars.
And then we learn later that a Smizmar is like just what Kif's people call like their betrothed or their true love. So this joke seems like it seems like they came up with a funny word and wanted to use it as much as possible.
I think so. Fry wants to go see Galaxy Wars, but Leela doesn't want to see a historical documentary. Leela wants to see Quizblorg, but Amy says, Guck, I don't want to watch anything with subtitles. Do you like Amy's little fake slang, Pangina? Is that funny to you? We really like it.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember the scene, but yeah, I feel like the movies, I was so drawn to them getting the popcorn.
Did you want the popcorn?
I want that popcorn, that metal.
You want it with the motor oil on it?
Yes.
You want the motor oil popcorn.
I want that motor oil popcorn.
You seem like an adventurous eater.
Yeah, first you're going to eat the brain slug. Now you're going to eat the motor oil popcorn.
I'll just eat anything, yeah, apparently.
Pangina was just watching this episode like it was a menu.
Yeah. What a hyena.
They decide.
That's a reference to Jinkx. I called Pangina. If this is fun for listeners if they are fans of both Jinkx and Futurama. Here's a peek behind the scenes. I'm actually recording with Pangina both episodes in one day. So I didn't know that Pangina would just like bring up things from that other episode we did. And I don't know which order these episodes will air in. So if you're someone who likes to find Easter eggs,
yes,
hyena is your Easter egg.
They decided to watch All My Circuits, the movie, which is weird because that's a soap opera. And I've never heard of a soap opera having a theatrical movie.
Well,
and it's
Sex and the City is essentially a sitcom soap opera, and they had two movies. And like TV shows have movies sometimes. The Simpsons
X-Files
had a movie. I mean, Days of Our Lives has never had a movie, but like All My Circuits is wildly popular.
It's the most popular show, it seems like. Everyone's
it seems like a
always abuzz about it.
primetime soap opera, like because they all get together in the evenings to watch it.
You're right.
So it's like a soap opera that made it to primetime.
Well, early evenings, it's still light outside.
Yeah,
sorry,
but it's
Pangina,
New
we're
York.
talking. Sorry, Pangina, we're talking about 3 seconds of footage from 10 episodes ago. They see this olden timey newsreel before the news, and it's funny because we see the recently crowned Miss Universe is doing like a USO show, but it's for the amoebas who are planning to kill the human race. and the announcer says, "Go get them, boys." I appreciate.
So what's the difference between? Sorry. So what's the difference between those amoebas and the brain slugs?
First of all, I would say size. That's my first
placement on the body. And is this the same? This is the Miss Universe who just won in a couple episodes ago.
Yes, and we find out her name is Gladys Lennox, which is a weird name for
Lennox, for an amoeba lady. Did you know that Pangina was a runway coach for Miss Universe Thailand?
Oh, really?
That's another Easter egg.
Well, we should have had you on the Miss Universe episode.
I know. Woulda, coulda, shoulda. But who was producing the show at the time? Nick. And things tend to fall through the cracks.
Well, I'm still producing the show, so watch your P's and Q's.
Yeah, we'll see how long that lasts.
We find out that this is a choose your own adventure type movie. Because Calculon gets a phone call from the robot lady, and she says a fight is broken out.
They have so many
special effects factory. Why don't you take it, Jinkx? Tell us a little about this.
Okay, so then what happens next is they're like, do you want to watch Calculon get in a high-speed chase on his way to the special effects factory, or do you want to watch him finish filing his paperwork? And everyone selects, or at least Fry selects, but we can assume everyone selects the high-speed chase. And then the chair goes, "You have selected 2, file his paperwork." And Fry goes, "No, I didn't." And the chair responds, "I'm pretty sure you did." And then they show what seems like hours of footage of Calculon just looking through papers. Now, here's my thoughts and theories. The movie studio lost the footage.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
And for some reason had a bunch of B-roll of Calculon doing this paperwork. And so they were just like, well, we already pitched it as a choose your own adventure. We're just going to have to give them the illusion of choosing your own adventure. But really, all we've got is the Calculon paperwork scene.
When Jinkx and I were roommates, we did the Choose Your Own Adventure Black Mirror episode. Did you ever watch that, Pangina?
Bandersnatch.
Bandersnatch. You remember that boy in it?
You could do your own. You could do your own parody of it, and it could be called Pandersnatch. Pandersnatch.
We learn in the newsreel, going back a little bit, that there's this ultimate robot fighter named the Masked Units, and totally unrelated, a very tall, nerdy robot sits in front of Bender, and he's there with his girlfriend, and Bender's like harassing them. He's like
such a douche. Yeah.
Have you ever had this experience in a movie theater? Someone like kicking the back of your seat and calling your date heavy?
I've never had that experience. Normally what it is that there's kids just roaming free. Little kids just coming over looking for candy. Just running up and down the aisles. I'm trying to think if I've never been in an audience with a big talker, but I also haven't ever been a big movie person. I don't go to the movies very often. And usually I luck out and end up at the movie theater when no one else is there. I just went and saw Death on the Nile in the middle of the day in Brooklyn.
Oh, you gotta go in the middle of the day. It's great.
And it was the theater. I was completely alone. I sat there and watched, Death on the Nile, Wonder Woman in a murder mystery.
Kal-El, no. We have a little cameo from the Mystery Science 3000 robots. Did anyone appreciate that other than me? No. Okay.
I lived with a Mystery Science Theater fanatic for years, and I have a good appreciation for it. But it's also
Pangina, have you ever watched Mystery Science Theater where the robots, they talk during the bad movies? That's the whole show.
It's great. There are certain times in your life you feel like, holy shit, you're from a different continent. I'm having those moments right now. Wow, culture shock. Wow. But
Wait a second.
All of this, just the pitching in might be lacking from my part, but I'm enjoying it.
Okay. We hear you. We see you. And I think we can adjust what questions we'll adjust what questions we throw your way. Pangina, what's your favorite movie you've ever seen in a theater?
Actually, just to feed off you, when you were saying about the movie experience, I get irrationally, unquestionably angry in movie theaters when people speak, and I'm always that person who would go up to them with a flashlight on my phone and said, if you're not quiet, I would do this endlessly to you. I'm always that person.
You've done that in a movie theater?
Many times. I'm always that person who's like, if you're gonna ruin my experience, I will ruin yours too.
Oh, that's cool.
That's a principle you've taken into your work as an entertainer as well.
Yes, absolutely.
I'm worried that did I give you a complex by calling you a hyena and saying you were a scrappy fighter? Because you've brought it up like 3 times, and now I'm worried. Is she bringing it up because she likes it, or is she bringing it up because she's like got a plan for how she's gonna take me down after this?
Okay, Bender is now kicking the back of the seat of this robot. Things are escalating. He challenges him to a fight. Oh, go ahead, Mom.
I was just going to point out the voice actor for this nerdy robot sitting in front of Bender. Can't remember his name. Should have looked it up, but it's SpongeBob. It's the creator.
Oh, Tom Kenny.
Tom Kenny. You can hear it basically sounds like when SpongeBob is being nerdy. He's like, excuse me, sir. I can't do SpongeBob. Well, like skip. No, I can't do it.
I saw Tom Kenny one time performing in his band. he was the act at a comedy festival at the after party.
What kind of music do they play?
It was really good. It was like old 60s pop covers with like horns and stuff, and then they would do originals as well. It was very fun. And then at a certain point, he had like 3 lady backup singers, and at a certain point, he just left the stage and started dancing with all of us while the ladies sang for a while. It was pretty classy.
Pangina, do you like SpongeBob? Have you seen much SpongeBob?
Yes.
SquarePants.
I have seen parts of SpongeBob.
Is it syndicated? Do they play it in Thailand? In Thai? SpongeBob SquarePants?
Yes, I remember those moments we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was just wondering. I love watching cartoons in different languages. I love hearing the different voice actors and how they play the character in different languages.
See, we've had like Sailor Moon growing up, so I'm not accustomed to SpongeBob. I know that he is a sea creature. I think that's from what I've understood. He is, of that family.
I'm just surprised it wasn't like inundated onto you. Like SpongeBob, I feel like even though I wasn't the right age for SpongeBob when he got popular, it was everywhere. I felt, but so I thought maybe when you went to college here, you probably would have had a lot of SpongeBob thrown at you. But sounds like you avoided it.
Pangina, which of the sailors are you most like?
Oh, Venus, for sure, because I am a blonde.
What side is Venus? What side is that? What's your side, Pangina?
I am a Cancer.
Leo cusp.
I am a crappy lion.
A crabby lion. The This episode makes it sound like Pangina and I have just known each other for years. I know everything about her.
I would actually say that if you combined a crab and a lion, you would get a hyena. So I feel like this all tracks.
Can we stop focusing
On hyenas, please?
I really hope this episode comes out first, so
so it makes
even less
absolutely
sense.
zero
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
So he
robots
really annoys the
destroying the theater.
nerd robot. Yeah. Here we go. He becomes the destructor. No, that's later. Sorry. I'm sorry. I jumped the gun.
He's a big robot. We don't know what his name is yet.
We don't. He's the masked robot, isn't it? That they find his mask and his thing.
No, after they defeat him, they open up his chest panel and it says the masked unit.
The masked unit. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So he starts, really tearing shit up. What I need to know is, how did Bender beat him? Because Bender's
there was
not
some
a good
oil on the
fighter.
floor.
From the motor oil popcorn.
Yeah.
Okay. So Bender didn't actually do any fighting.
Well, it's kind of like a Showgirls moment, except for instead of pearls, it's motor oil covered popcorn.
So the entire thing is a fluke from the get-go. Bender has no business being a robot fighter. Okay, just
I do find it very funny that the masked unit's girlfriend is now hanging on to Bender and like in love with him and giving him a little kiss. Even though he just called her heavy.
Yeah, they're doing the fighting movie trope where the woman is not a human. She's just the prize of whoever wins the fight. It's very Popeye and olive oil. Anyway, so Bender, thinks he's tough shit now.
And for some reason, not only was the masked unit there, but so was the president of the Ultimate Robot Fighting
This
League.
whole thing feels staged. This whole thing feels like they knew they were gonna do this.
They entrapped him somehow.
Maybe he wanted out of robot fighting, and so they concocted this scheme where they just go to movie theaters.
It's a 1 in 1 out policy. Like, if you want to leave robot fighting,
you got to get me a new fighter.
Leela decides that she's going to help Bender become an ultimate robot fighter. And she says, "Let me tell you a story from my childhood." And then one of our favorite quotes comes. Mom, you want to take this?
Again with the orphanarium. That needs to be a sound on the soundboard. Make a note of that, producer.
I'll get it. I used to say that I sometimes say that to Jinkx when she's telling a depressing story from her childhood. I'll say, "Oh, again with the orphanarium."
Or if I bring up Drag Race when I had filmed
Drag Race trauma.
When I had filmed season 5 and when it was airing, and then for 5 years after that, it felt like the only thing I could talk about. So Nick would often say, "Again with the orphanarium."
We get a flashback of Leela's childhood where she was learning Arcturian Kung Fu.
Kung Fu from Master Fnog.
Yeah, let's talk about Fnog for a second.
Yes. So
one of the many problematic Asian characters not voiced by an Asian person.
On Futurama.
Billy West, I believe, yeah.
And it's Billy West voicing him as well.
I think.
We know that
unless
Billy
it's
West.
Tom Kenny.
Unless it's Tom Kenny. So Pan, America has a long history of white voice actors voicing POC and foreign characters in TV shows, and Apu was a big discussion point recently on The Simpsons, because Hank Azaria had been voicing Apu for years. The main character, Amy, who is Asian, is voiced by an Asian voice actor, Lauren Tom. I'm so terrible with names. It's amazing that I even remembered most of the syllables. Anyway, but she's the only Asian voice actor, and every other Asian character is voiced by a white person. Initial thoughts on that whole thing?
See, watching that scene, I was just like, ooh, oh, I wasn't too sure. But you have to bear in mind, I came from, like, where I come from, it's all over the media, and I don't have the context of being politically correct here in America, but I do understand that. Oh, I was thinking, like, who voiced this? So that's obviously a concern. I was like, oh, it's playing off a lot of stereotypes, I would say, and I don't know where we're at, but a lot of the times I just find humor in a lot of crazy shit, and I just let things go. So I don't know. I thought it is what it is. What do you think, Jinkx?
I think this was an opportunity to go. I mean, he's a ton of Asian stereotypes and many unflattering stereotypes all rolled into one. But he's also an alien. He's also a bug alien. So I'm like,
right.
They could, and the way they go in, and the way they do their satire most of the time is it's set in the future and it's set in outer space, so they can make politically incorrect jokes without making it punching down on a marginalized people per se. And I'm just confused why they didn't go that route this time.
I think they're just going for the Kung Fu master archetype.
Exactly. Which that whole trope in and of itself is problematic.
I do think this alien is from the same universe as the racist aliens from Phantom Menace. Have you seen? Well, you've never seen Star Wars, but there's a whole bunch of bad aliens that talk pretty similarly to this.
I guess okay, now I'm like hearing this conversation and I'm thinking, I was hearing what I was saying about how they use the alien races and it being set in the future to get away with kind of off-color humor, which I feel like science fiction has done. Obviously it happened in Star Wars, it's happened in Star Trek. So now I'm like, is that just like racists getting away with being racist by making it about an alien race? So I don't know. I'm not sure any of this is the right way to go, but it does set up the A plot for the rest of the episode.
We get into the plot, yes. Leela has decided to become and we should say the whole conflict between her and Fanog is he's being very sexist against her. Yeah. He's saying you cannot be a warrior because you are a girl.
I think, this is just me like making a guess. I think when they have a character that's going to be a bad guy, like a sexist who ruined Leela's childhood, they lean into negative stereotypes of whatever that like character would be. Like, what's the most like cartoonish archetypal stereotypes? And so that's what I think is the most problematic thing about it, is by combining all of those things together, they're implying people that fit this archetype are inherently sexist, so but could he have just been a bug alien who's a sexist and maybe it would stand the test of time? Who knows? They didn't go that route.
So because of this conflict, Leela decides to be Bender's trainer. They have a training montage where Bender's doing push-ups, which doesn't make sense to me because he doesn't have muscles. And he can also like lift a bus already. I just don't get it.
Yeah, what is he training for? Isn't he programmed? Isn't it all finite? Hasn't it all been decided already how strong he is? Like, unless the professor is upgrading his hardware and his software and building muscles onto him, this all seems very moot. But whatever, it's a Karate Kids parody. We need the training montage. It's Rocky. Go ahead, give us the montage we expect. Doesn't make any goddamn sense, but go for it.
We're at the fight. The announcer is a referee alien. He's like, his body is made of black and white stripes, as though he was born to be a referee.
No, he's from Kif's home planet, so he has the camouflage.
Why do you say that?
Because he says Smizmars and he's shaped like Kif.
That's why you think that he's from Kif's planet, because he says Smizmars. We were just talking about they say Smizmars all the time.
Yes, but he also looks like the same type of alien as Kif, and Kif's species has a camouflage feature of camouflage function. So I'm assuming he just like stood up against a black and white striped wall, used his camouflage feature, and then came out as the referee.
I'm going to allow this.
I
win! Pangina, did you see me win that argument?
The announcer says Bender is from America's heartland, Mexico, which is very funny because we do know Bender is from Mexico, but apparently America has annexed even more of Mexico. I say that as a person in California, which used to be Mexico. Bender is fighting a lumberjack robot, and his name is the Clear Cutter. And in the audience, Hermes is watching with Fry, and he says, "Hey, I got you an official Bender hat, and it's a brain slug."
It's a brain slug. Is this when Zoidberg knocks off Hermes's brain slug? Did we miss that part?
It's a little later.
It's a little later. Okay, that's my favorite part of the episode. So remind me when we get there.
Okay,
Pangina,
I'll remind you.
So you talked about like being the person who will go confront people talking in the movie theater. Have you ever gotten into like a fist fight? Have you ever like fought for real like another person?
Yeah.
I've never gotten
in and out of drag. Were you in and out
I've
of
never
drag?
gotten
That's
into
really
a fist fight. I've only ever wrestled my little brothers. I've never like gotten into like a one of these.
How else would you exercise?
You go pick fights with people out in the wild.
No, you've seen those videos on YouTube when it's like when fans go too far. I've had those experiences. I mean, so I fought people in drag and out of drag. I don't like to do it often, but like if you're drunk and you throw like a menu into my face, let's get down. So yeah, it happens.
And did you win?
They ran away because I grabbed a bottle. So that's how
that's a win.
That's how it escalated. So
see,
yes, I think that qualifies as a win.
Is why I said she's a hyena because she's scrappy. She fights to win.
I look for the sand first to kick, and then I grab a bottle. Yes, those are my two arsenal.
But also so sweet and so hot.
Wow. Yeah.
Bender is attacked with an axe and a drill. Leela says, "Stop scratching your axe hole and get up there and fight him." And he wins the fight by just sort of putting his foot out and kicking the robot in the head accidentally. He explodes.
Yeah. And Bender even seems a little confused by this. Bender's a little bit like, what? He wins the fight. He goes
back into the dressing room and or the locker room. I'm sorry, a theater kid.
The dressing
he goes into the locker room. He goes into the locker room and he's like, "Yay, I killed a person." And then the person he blew up, the robot walks in and is like, "Hey, what's up?" And we learn that it's all fake.
It's all been fake the whole time.
Have you ever been this unprepared for a job that you walked into something and assumed it was real and blew someone up and then found out that it was all staged? It seems very implausible.
No, I've never had anything even close to this experience in my life. I didn't think that everything that happened on season 5 of Drag Race was fake, but I did assume that it was possible that it was all a Carrie situation, and that when I got crowned at the end, that there was just gonna like rain blood on me, and the whole thing was just like a really long joke on me. I mean,
that would have been iconic for a moment. We learned that Bender won because he's the most popular fighter. And then we see him fight a montage of very unpopular fighters. One of them is Billionaire Bot, which reminded me of Tiger Millionaire from Steven Universe.
There's always got to be some capitalist fat cat. If you think about the target demo for a fighting show, a fighting spectacle entertainment, they want to see the capitalist fat cat who owns a yacht and has a servant, and his wife Muffy. They want to see him get beat up, because they're, they need a fighter for the working guy.
One of the fighters is named the Foreigner. He says, "I'm here. I have my own customs." Or I'm not from here. I have my own customs. Look at my crazy passport. And this did not have an offensive voice attached, and it was still funny. So think about it, Futurama.
Think about it, Futurama. With this new season, you really have an opportunity here. What if they doubled down? What if the new season of Futurama comes
Fry
out
just
and
talks with an Asian accent?
they just double down, and it's as politically incorrect as they could think of. Anyway.
The chain smoker is the last fighter, and he's going to come smoke in your restaurant, which is a very 90s problem. We don't do that really here anymore. Can't even smoke in bars anymore.
Yeah. Whenever even when I smoked, I felt wrong smoking inside, There's people who smoke in their houses, and I think I have no problem with people who smoke, but people who smoke in their own houses, I think might be a little crazy.
Pangina, do you smoke?
I don't. I vape.
What are you vaping? Is it tobacco or is it weed?
No. It's just tobacco, but I'm slightly going to quit slowly. Like I was on cigarettes back in like 2 years ago. Now I'm on vape. I just can't with the smell in the fingernails. That's the worst part of it for me. Like I can't deal with the fingernails. Like you would be doing something and then you're like,
Have you ever smoked weed?
I do. I prefer eating it.
Oh, well, you're in Seattle. I'm sure you could maybe try it while you're there.
They're insane. You might be able to find some weed in Seattle. I've had an on again, off again relationship with vaping. I'm like the children that the tobacco companies are trying to appeal to, because every time there's a new flavor, I want to try it. I get excited by the colors.
For 3 months, she smokes this blueberry pancake vape. And she fully did it.
I always smelled like syrup. It was very popular that year.
Bender is now a very popular fighter. Wait, if you were going to be a wrestler, let's just go around the room. If you were going to be a wrestler, what would your persona be? Because wrestling's not that different from drag. They had a conversation about this on US Drag Race last night.
They did.
And it is just sort of drag for straight males who want to emulate straight males. What would you bring to the ring, Jinkx? Who would you be?
I would be like a film noir themed femme fatale, and I'd probably be called femme fatale or them fatale. It depends on if I'm doing it in full drag or if I'm doing it as whatever the fuck this is. But and I would be like really like, maybe I'd be painted black and white so I look like I'm in a black and white movie, and then my makeup will come off on the other person's body throughout the match, and it will be really weird.
That sounds pretty cool. I think I would do just like a stoner wrestler, even though I smoke less and less weed by the day. I think I would be a stoner wrestler who is just, I've always got a joint in my hand and I can burn them with the joint and I don't move a lot. I think that would be my thing.
El Canalibre.
Ooh, I like that. Pan, if you were going to be a wrestler.
I would definitely have a mustache that curls, probably a beret, And I would have many knives in areas that you would not expect it.
Knife at a wrestling match.
Yes.
Well, she wants to win.
Yeah.
Wow. So very, okay, so Bender's fine with the matches being fixed because it means he's popular. Bender's, and it doesn't take much for Bender to let something go to his head. So Bender is immediately acting like a jerk. How quickly does he get the floozies? That's
right after the montage. He comes back to Planet Express and he has these robot floozies. Are these the same robot floozies episode to episode? They look familiar.
I can't remember. I know that there's like some stock robot floozies that just like pop in when we need them.
Well, I don't know. I feel like he's in that phase, like right after you're on Drag Race, for example, and everyone wants to fuck you for like a year.
That happens?
Bender enters wearing a white fur coat that I would totally wear. And
wow.
I
Sorry,
would.
PETA. Sorry,
it's
PETA.
Obviously faux. There's like a fucking $sign rhinestoned into the back. That's not.
I don't know. In the future, they use whale oil to power their ships. It kind of seems like they've taken a big step backwards towards the treatment of animals. I mean, they discover poplars and just eat them without even knowing what they are. Anyway, that's later.
Bender goes to the Ultimate Robot Fighting headquarters, and it's this huge skyscraper. I don't know why they need that much real estate. And the meeting goes, you're not popular anymore. You have to lose, and we're gonna actually change your character. You're gonna be the gender bender now, and you have to wear this little tutu and carry
as if the episode wasn't problematic enough. You know what's funny though? I find this joke funny. I find it funny.
It's very funny
because it's all the things, all the villains, all the people they're rooting against are all things that straight men would be like, yeah, take down the fat cats. Oh, I want to be the one who beats up the chain smoker at a bar, so I can look tough in front of the ladies. Foreigners, they took our jobs, it's all these like straight men nightmares, the gender bender, and all he does is like call and talks to the person who's like, I'm a big toughie. Like I don't know. It's funny. It's such a farce. It's funny to me.
I think when it started working for me is when you see the commercial that we were just referencing for the big fight, and the announcer says, "You loved him as Bender the Offender. Now get ready to hate him as he threatens your sexuality."
I love that too. Yeah,
the gender bender.
What I like about all of this, like the whole commentary on this fighting league thing, is that fucking people who watch blood sport for entertainment suck.
I thought the message that you got was that fans of any competition are highly fickle, and you could relate to that.
The thing is if it, like, I don't hate wrestling because it's so camp and it is like drag. Yeah. What I hate is the people who don't find it entertaining for that reason.
We go to the final fight. They're in the ring. This is where Bender is practicing his kicks, and he kicks off Hermes' brain slug. Hermes is like, "Oh my God, I'm finally free from the nightmare." And Bender very politely puts the brain slug back on his head.
Here you go,
Hermes
buddy.
Says, "Thank you. It was cold down there on the floor."
Not even trying to sell it.
Would you eat the brain slug even if it got all dirty when it landed on the floor?
5-second rule.
When it comes to brain slugs, the 5-second rule is in effect.
In the front row of the fight is Richard Nixon. He's sitting there with Calculon and the Emperor from the Water Planet, and Zap and Kif are there. And Richard Nixon hates the gender bender. He says, "Get that hippie out of the ring." The fight starts. Bender immediately removes his tutu, which I wish he didn't do. I wish he kept it on.
Yeah, it could have been a big win.
Yeah. Win one for the gender fluid folks, even if that's not how you identify in this moment. That's how the audience is perceiving you.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, if you have to take that out, like, it feels like you have, it could have been a good celebrating moment for me. So I was like, oh, you should have kept that on. Like, why? In order to win, do you have to take that out? Like, is that like a weakness in some way?
Yeah, I feel like I'm really, as we examine this episode, which I think has a lot of like dated attributes, a lot of antiquated moments, it kind of makes me very excited for what new Futurama can be. Because if I think about like Disenchantment and how cool that show is, it's a little all over the place, but at least I feel like it's being made for this time, and it's being made more mindfully from a lot of the same creators of The Simpsons and Futurama and that studio. So I'm kind of really excited for
it's the Futurama in the past. It's on Netflix.
Oh, cool. I have not yet.
They didn't call it Pastorama, but they could have called it Pastorama. It's like the exact same show, but it's in like a fantasy setting.
Oh.
If you need a binge on your touring, check that out.
Okay.
It's on Netflix.
Okay.
So we get into the fight. Bender's getting beat. He asks Fry to throw in the towel, but Fry now has a brain slug on. And then it all comes down to Leela, who follows the huge satellite dish in the corner of the ring. She follows the cords underneath the ring, where Fanog is controlling Destructor with like a mocap suit. But it's so strange because why is this easier than just programming a robot to be a fighter? And also it's a fake fight. It doesn't make any sense. But none
of it has ever made any sense.
It does give us a fun, subversive sort of feminist moment where it appears that Bender is winning the fight, but actually Leela is winning the fight, and she doesn't get any of the credit because she's not on the stage.
Yeah.
So I did like that.
Well, we all know Leela can kick ass, and it's very exciting that she's going to kick the ass of this misogynist. But in the end, Bender ends up flattened anyway.
Yes.
Like, I like that, like, Bender was happy to just go along with this fake fight. Bender was happy to just like shrug Leela off when she was the only person who helped him. We don't want Bender to win in the end. I'm glad that he, except that, like maybe he could have taken down the corrupt robot fighting league if he had won, but whatever.
You know what? I don't have any real, other than the sort of lowest common denominator, making fun of othered people. I don't have a lot of issues with the Ultimate Robot Fighting League. It seems like everyone gets into it consensually to be like, yeah, I'm going to do this staged fight. It seems fine. It's not the worst thing in the world.
Except it's just like rewarding toxic male behavior.
I know, but why is there such a big audience for that? That's the problem. Not that this thing exists.
Because
these
they
people
keep
are just
making
making
shit for them. Because they keep making shit for them. You know what? And the thing is because they think, oh, men wouldn't like this or men wouldn't like this. This straight guy I was just sleeping with, listen, he watched that movie Barb and Star Go to Vista Del Mar, could not believe how good of a movie it was. He was beside himself with how good of a movie it was. And he said, why is this movie so good? And I said, because it was written by two women. And he went, oh!
The fight's over. We already talked about it. Leela says the important thing is I beat up someone who hurt my feelings in high school. Fry's brain slug starved to death. Oh, and I forgot there's a very funny moment with the announcers. I don't know enough about Howard Cosell and Richard Little. I don't get what's going on there. But George Foreman tells this insane story of Joe Frazier, who's a giant robot, fighting Muhammad Ali and destroying the whole world. And then Richard
fascinating,
interesting if true.
Interesting if true.
Listen closely, Mom.
Interesting if true.
That's one of my favorite Futurama lines.
That's
I
one
say
we
that
each other.
when a drag queen comes in and says like why she's an hour late, and she's like, "Mama, I got held up in traffic, and baby, there was an accident on the freeway, and Mama, I couldn't get through." And then I go, "Interesting,
Interesting
if true."
I will say, speaking of the announcers, just to end this recap, we do go out on a note of the announcers, two straight men, saying, "I did like the way he looked in the tutu." So I kind of liked that.
Yeah, there's some good. I love Futurama. Everyone knows that. This is not one of my favorite episodes, even though it has some of my favorite jokes, and that's why I keep coming back to Futurama, is because even one of the least exciting episodes for me still has really great writing in it.
Well,
that's why I'm excited
that's the
for
end of the
new
recap.
Futurama.
That's the end of the recap. Let's move into the segment we call the questions.
Hey, let me ask you something.
Wait, what's it called, Mom? We're calling it the questioning now? Okay, the questioning.
The questioning.
Hey, let me ask you something.
So, Pangina, first and foremost, how did you enjoy this episode of Futurama?
I have not seen Futurama in a long time, and today talking about it was very enlightening for me. It's like a subculture, and I have a newfound appreciation for it. So thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Anytime.
What?
Anytime. We'll talk to you about Futurama, whatever you want.
Okay.
I almost I feel like we maybe tortured you a little bit today. We made you watch this American cartoon, and then we sat here and just talked ad nauseum about things you didn't have much access to, and I feel like it might have been torture for you.
I have never been more confused in my life, and I love it.
To be fair, we do that every week. I think Pangina, she's just noticing it because she likes you so much. And we both like it.
No, it's because I was watching Pangina seem to be in like physical distress many times throughout the episode, like drinking from her tiny cup, cradling herself in her chair while she was trying to understand what the fuck we were talking about and why we spent so much time talking about it. But my next question is, Pangina, of all the characters on Futurama, who would you do?
Oh, for sure. I immediately Flo. Is her name Flo?
Flo. Leela?
Oh my God! Why am I calling her Flo? Leela. I'm sorry.
Flo's a cool name though.
With the one eye, I find her to be so sexy. I just want to be her best friend. I don't know. There's something about Flo or Leela that I just absolutely adore. I'm so drawn to her. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
She's hot. She's got a very dominating energy, and
you're in very good company.
Courteous.
Lots. I feel like 85% of our guests on season 2 have wanted to do Leela.
Yeah,
Leela
it wasn't the same in season 1. There was a broader spectrum of who wanted to do who. But this season it's pretty much Leela is really, she's going to be tapping a lot of ass.
Yeah, she's going to fuck you and Latrice and I think Crystal. I can't remember who else.
My next question for you, Pangina, is who of the characters from Futurama do you most identify with?
I would have to say the brain slug.
Why do you like taking people over? Do you like controlling people, or do you just feel like you're made of jelly?
Isn't that what most relationships are? So taking over, here, let me drive.
We're gonna have to reach out to your boyfriend after this interview and see if he's okay.
He's like writing the word help.
He's in my DMs right now. Pangina, having watched this episode of Futurama, would you watch more? Are you going to start binging it? Are you going to watch the new season? Have we made a new Futurama fan out of you?
I definitely will be watching the new season. That's going to be coming out on Hulu or Netflix.
Hulu.
Is it Netflix or Hulu? Yeah,
It is
Hulu,
potato,
for
potato.
Yeah, I love it. So is there like there is a community of people who are like into it? Like there's like towns mapped out. Is it like that? Do I have that understanding?
I don't know
Of
how
Futurama fans?
Yeah.
there are a lot of Futurama fans, but I
Mhm.
don't know how like in depth the fan base has gotten into what's funny is we made this podcast because we were big Futurama fans and we thought
Mhm.
pretty much no one would want to listen to a queer Futurama review podcast, but we have quite a loyal fan base. So to our listeners out there and to the people watching us on YouTube, thanks for making this niche market viable. There actually are quite a few Futurama podcasts as well. So there's got to be a fan base out there who likes talking about it, who likes, review, going back and rewatching it the way we have. But I don't think there's a lot of conspiracy theories. I don't think there's a lot of like fanatic behavior about it. I don't know. And then that smile at the end. Gotcha.
Pan, is there a cartoon you can recommend to us? You've mentioned Sailor Moon. Is there another that you might want to recommend to our audience, fans of Futurama?
I mean, I love the Spirited Away, the movie.
That's a good movie.
Mhm.
Do you
But
just
go
not
watch
watch
some Miyazaki.
Do you not watch much cartoons? Are you like an adult? I mean, I know you're a business owner. I know you're a TV host. Maybe there's not time in your life to get stoned and watch cartoons to the same
I've never had
ferocity
a
that
childhood. I've never had a childhood because my mom was an Asian mom, so I don't watch cartoons. We weren't allowed. I'm
so
only
now,
joking.
I was like, oh, okay.
I wasn't going to make any assumptions. I was just, following your lead. But do you think we've uncorked something in you? Do you think you're going to like be watching tons of cartoons now?
I am inspired now. Yeah, I'm very inspired. When I go back to Thailand, I'm gonna get on Hulu. Even though it's not available in my country, I'm gonna find a good VPN and I'm gonna binge on Futurama.
I believe Futurama is on Disney Plus internationally, so you could get Disney Plus.
Okay.
Will you do me a favor though? Will you try to get Aria to watch an episode of Futurama?
Oh my God, that would be
I
iconic.
will lure her with some wine and we'll do it. I'll let you know.
I have a feeling she'll just be turning to you like this, being like, what is this?
She does that with everything I suggest to her, so it's nothing new.
Well, thank you so much for being our guest today.
Thank you.
And I want to thank all our listeners and our viewers for watching this episode. One really good takeaway from this episode of Futurama, Raging Bender, is that it made me realize that some people just lack what it takes to be the thing they think they should be. Like being a producer of this podcast. Nick thinks he's the producer of this podcast, when in reality, he lacks the will of the producer.
I'm the producer.
So,
we had an election. There was a
yes,
whole
but
election.
you lack the will of the producer. And as for me, I have the will of the producer. So by default, I already won. I'm the producer. Would you like
Do you
to
want to
have
have
a
another
rematch?
election?
No. Would you like a rematch right now? Look at that. I win again because you lack the will of the producer.
I'm good.
So-
I care. I want to be the producer. I've been doing a really
but
good
you
job.
lack the will of the producer. So an election would be a moot point because you lack the will of the producer. So this is Jinkx Monsoon, producer of I'm 40% podcast.
Wait. I'm still the producer.
Thanking-
I'm still the producer. I love being the producer. You can't take it from me.
We'll just see how that works out. I'd like to thank our guest Pangina Heels from Drag Race Thailand and UK versus the World. She eliminated your favorite. Let her know about it online. No, we absolutely love
worst outro ever.
We're Team Pan Pan. We're always Team Pan Pan. I think it's reverse.
We absolutely we have loved you in the House of Monsoon for years and years, and getting to know you in real life has just been so much fun. Thank you for joining us on this podcast.
Thank you.
Next time, we'll make sure we're all watching the cartoon together, stoned in our underwear. Have a great rest of your day, Pan Pan. And Nick, thank you so much as an employee of this podcast and my co-host. I'd like to thank you as your producer, and I'll see you next week.
You're not the producer. We're not letting this happen.
Wow.